Holy fan films, Batman!
Shut up, Robin. I'm in the middle of eating some bat snacks. What do you want?
Actually, I got some big news. I can't wait to tell everybody.
You hit puberty? Gee, that's so special.
Big news! People don't have to panic anymore.
I'm Batman. I never panic. But what are you talking about?
The guidelines! I can make my fan film now!
Gee, that's exciting. I'm gonna have to put that on the Justice League roster. Gee. Yeah, that's a priority. I gotta go.
Hang on to your hyperbole, people! You're about to join Super Geeks!
And welcome to the 20th episode of Super Geeks. My God, 20 weeks ago today, I had an idea, and it lasted.
That did.
It lasted 20 weeks so far.
That is an accomplishment for ADD, people. I'm telling you.
That's not bad for a startup podcast.
It's not bad for ADD. I feel like I should put out a shirt there that it's more than
Let me guess. You want a lollipop, right?
No, I want people to realize it's more than squirrels.
Okay. Congratulations. 20 episodes.
20 episodes. You and Ross weren't there for the first 6 or 7. But...
No. So it's 4
I was there
5
for the
me.
second.
Were you?
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
I think so.
You're kind of forgettable then, I guess.
Bull crap.
Wow. All right, Anthony's going to be late because of something with the hospital. I think
his foot fell off.
Well, no, he was trying out some new superpowers he got, and apparently, from what I heard, he got his ass kicked because he thought he could fly, and he landed on his ass. So I don't know.
It's the zombie leg.
Something like that.
So I'm saying his foot fell off.
That's possible. That is very possible. All right, so my name is George. Chooch99A is my Twitter. We have a special guest today. I'll be introducing him more properly in about a second, but his name is Matt Blondin. Matt, where can people find you on social media?
They can find me on Facebook. So just look for Mathieu Blondin. Or you can find me on Twitter at a handle at capt CAPT Blondin BLONDIN.
Was it okay that I called you Matt? Because we didn't have a lot of time to discuss that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't pronounce your last name in French. I'm sorry.
Blondin.
I'll just call you Matt.
No, that's fine, guys. Don't worry about it.
Wait. So you can speak French?
I can.
I'm going to be calling upon you for future episodes of Starfinder since we're going to be talking about audio stuff. So now that I know that, so be prepared.
I will be gladly. Not
All
a problem.
right. And where can people find you, John?
You can find me at vanishingpoint.biz for all kinds of digital models and computer graphics.
Outstanding. And Will?
On Twitter at Intrinsicus. That's intrinsic with the US on the end.
All right. And Ross.
And for that, I have a bit of an announcement to go with it.
Yes. I guess make it so.
So, this last Sunday, I launched Live, Love, Play. It is a general geek, gaming, and lifestyle hub where I will be creating videos and blogs and podcasts over the entire spectrum of geekiness. And today, I would like to announce that Super Geeks is going to be the first podcast for Live, Love, Play.
Wow.
Yay!
Great.
Not only that, but I will elaborate on that because Ross and I have been wanting to talk about this for a while, but we had to wait till the right time. Not just Super Geeks, but there's an upcoming comedy parody that's I already have it on Facebook and people know about it, so I'm going to just plug it. It's called The Last Dungeon. It's completely original. It's basically a parody of Dungeons and Dragons, Game of Thrones, anything fantasy related, and that's going to be a show that will fall under LLP as well. And LLP is also going to be associated with Busy Little Beaver which Starfinder is part of, and so is the G&T show, our friends. So it's sort of like going to be, it's going to be an associated production company. So there's a lot of cool things that are going to be happening there. From now
So
on,
far, we've got at least one YouTube playlist going from my pre-LLP days, as well as today I published the first live blog, not live blog, titled Reflection of Service. It is a quick summary of my time in the military prior to my separation. And there'll be other blogs like that, as well as more geeky stuff down the line. So the website is www.iliveloveplay.com. I had to make sure. We're on Facebook. Just do a quick search for Live Love Play. The Twitter account Subsailor688 is also affiliated with Live Love Play. Tumblr as well for Live Love Play, and we also have a Patreon set up for the same name. So we are all over the place. We're just going to keep on growing with more people that want to contribute, be it Let's Plays, live streaming, you name it. If it's geeky, we'll cover it.
Well, that sounds good. Before I introduce or get into the conversation that's really going to be the meat of this episode with our special guest today, there's just before it gets too far in, I wanted to have one of us at least give a brief, semi-spoiler-free, although at this point I don't think anybody cares, review of a movie that at least one of us has seen, which I'm interested in seeing, just haven't had a chance to yet, and that's Warcraft. Ross, can you give us a brief kind of overview of what you felt about the movie?
I will preface it by saying that I've been a Blizzard and Warcraft fan since the first RTS game.
Same here.
So I went into it with a bit more knowledge than the average moviegoer would, so I enjoyed it a bit more because I wasn't as lost in all the new names and faces and odd proper titles that can get a little muddy. So that could harm the enjoyment for some people. But overall, I thought the movie was very well done. The graphic effects are absolutely gorgeous. Half the cast is completely CG. All of the orcs are completely motion and performance capture creatures. And right. It never really clued into me that separation never really occurred to me. I was just enjoying the show the entire time. It was action-packed. The magic was flashy as it should be. And the story, in all, was followable, and in all, it's a fun movie that I highly recommend you go see.
I've heard a lot of good things about it. I mean, mixed reviews. You know, it's like one of those things that they, as far as a setup for a world build, I've heard that's their strongest thing. The biggest complaints I've heard was the young mage didn't feel right. It should have been an older mage. Things like that, but it's nitpicky stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, if you're going in expecting a complete retelling of the early stories of the game, you're going to be happy and disappointed at the same time because there are going to be differences.
Right. Okay. Well,
but if you're not a Warcraft fan, you'll probably enjoy it just because it is a fun ride.
What would you give it out of 10?
8.
That's pretty good.
Huh.
That's pretty good. John, you saw Finding Dory, didn't you?
A few weeks ago.
Hey, you know what? I don't care if it's a little outside the box when it comes to the geekdom. I love Finding Nemo's.
Have we talked about X-Men Apocalypse yet?
Oh, no, there you go. You saw that one, too. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I don't think anyone else has seen it. Will, you were going to see that. I have not
seen... the last movie I saw was the... not the Avengers, but the
Civil War?
Movie. Yeah, Civil War.
Okay. I got to see Apocalypse as well.
Oh, okay. So there's two of you. Any of these hero movies lately, Matt, that you've seen?
No, I've been very, very busy.
I understand that. The sad part is I live right next to a movie. I work next to a movie theater, and I don't get a lot of time to pop over. Okay, so two people, Will and Ross, have seen I'm sorry, John
John.
Have seen X-Men Apocalypse. So we'll start with you, John. Since you're the one that brought it up, what did you think of it?
Sure. I thought it was good, but not great. I thought it took a little too long to set everything up because it was a case of reintroducing the characters and starting the story from where the last movie ended. So It got into, okay, here's what this character is doing and that character, and then the movie started with showing us Apocalypse back in ancient Egypt, and then skipped to the present time of the movie, which is set in the 1980s, and then juggled all the characters. So it wasn't really until about halfway through that the story really got going.
As far as by the way, this movie's been out for quite a while. I'm not really too concerned about spoilers. So spoiler alert, there's going to be some minor spoilers in John's review because I'm going to push them.
Right.
so Wolverine was like the big at the end of the trailer before the movie came out. They did the whole teaser with his claws coming out. How involved was he in this movie?
Yes, just kind of a cameo appearance because
young or old?
I'll tell you. Once again, the X-Men are taken to the Alkali Lake base, and there's something hidden there, and it turns out to be Weapon X, played by Hugh Jackman. So it's the character before he becomes Wolverine.
Oh, Weapon X. I'm thinking of X-23. Never mind. Sorry.
No, yeah, Weapon X.
But that was X-23 is teased at the end.
Ooh.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So Jean lets Weapon X out, and it's Hugh Jackman, and he runs around the facility with his claws out, killing everybody, and then runs off into the forest. So that was the big Wolverine cameo.
Okay. And Ross, what did you think of it?
In all, it was good. They had to retread over Magneto again. They seemed to take him through the same. I know there's good in you. You don't have to do all this bad stuff, even though all these terrible things have happened to you. He loses his wife and kid again. It's bad enough that just that retreading really lost a lot of the movie for me. But otherwise, I really enjoyed it.
A lot of people were complaining about how they were pushing Mystique's importance with Jennifer, just because Jennifer Lawrence was playing her when she really was not as big or in any kind of a shape or form the kind of role she's in these movies.
We talked about that before.
Yeah, but that was before you guys saw the movie. What do you guys think since seeing it? Do you think that the promotional use of her, was she important to the level that they kind of played her up to be in the trailers, or was that just more a promotional thing?
No, she was leading the X-Men characters.
Okay.
Because Professor X was taken prisoner and Magneto was on Apocalypse's side. So she takes over the X-Men for them.
Okay. All right.
There's a revelation at one point where at the end of the last movie, mutants are known and are kind of starting to be accepted, right. But so long as they look and act normal. At the end of this one, they decide we're mutants, we're not going to hide who we are, so she goes from being human-looking through most of the movie to being at the end in her natural blue with Beast in his natural blue furry glory.
Sounds like they're making a statement there.
But do they also think that in future movies she will become, because she's not usually on the X-Men side, she's on the Magneto's side.
Well, she's the mother of Nightcrawler, but it's complicated.
Right, but again, in the things that I know, she was always on Magneto's side.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Right, so I mean, now
Mystique's always looked out for herself more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Yes, she's allied with Magneto in the past, and she was with him in the first movie. But in all, she looks out for herself.
But she's joining the X-Men at the end of this movie.
Yes.
Well, I have no problem with it only because the movie universe is in the comics with either regular Marvel or Fox. They're their own thing, and as long as they're consistent, if they build up a character to do this or that, I would rather they do that than to just divert to what the comics made regular. As long as it works. So,
in all, I think it works.
All right. So those two movies sound good. And okay, so let me get into introducing who our guest is. Now, Matt, actually, I'm going to let you let us know about yourself. But you're the reason I invited him on the show tonight is last episode we talked to a group of people, including Michael Hinman, for the second time about the guidelines CBS put forth for Star Trek fan films. Now, one of the concerns we had is that, me and Ross and a lot of other people who sometimes are on this show are involved in my Star Trek Starfinder audio or Gates of Stovikor, and Ross has one coming out called Blood of Nier, which is connected to Starfinder and Gates of Stovikor. We're all in a shared universe, and that's a Romulan thing. But when they put out these guidelines, or when this lawsuit happened, basically the concern was, how is this going to affect the little guy? And everybody was concerned about what their guidelines meant for audio productions too. And they had an interview on Engage podcast, the official Star Trek Star Trek podcast last night with Mr. Van Citters there, and he from CBS Licensing, and he basically said, and he said these exact words: audio productions are not going to be required to follow these guidelines. Those words made me post about 1 billion things on Facebook, and that's why I invited our guest. So, Matt, you are a producer of audio, not only of your own audio production, which is Shadows of Tyranny, which is a mirror universe thing that I had the privilege of listening to today, but you are also invested in other productions such as Excelsior, who were people, James Heady. The Excelsior, when I did Starfinder in the beginning, they wished us luck, of sort of a bon voyage thing when we first launched in 2013. And so, I mean, the audio niche of Star Trek is smaller, but it's its own, it's a niche. It's part of the pocket of the whole fandom. And I know there's been a lot of worry about that. So after hearing what they said last night in that interview, well, actually, before I get into that, can you tell us a little bit about your background and the shows that you get your fingers in the pie in?
Yeah, no, sure. Well, the first show I actually started off in the Star Trek universe, because that's not actually where I started doing audio production and audio mixing. But my ultimate goal was to finally get into one of these shows. Actually, my first goal was to be the head of production, or at the very least a mixer to do for Lost Frontier. That's part of Darker Projects. And actually, it took a while before I could become.
Can you remind me? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can you remind me real quick which one Lost Frontier is? Is that is that part of the shared universe from the Hidden Frontier people?
I don't think so.
Something different. Okay.
Yeah, Lost Frontier is.
Oh, it's an audio thing.
It's an audio thing, and it's actually it goes after the fall of the Federation. So.
Oh wait, I remember now. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it basically follows after Section 31. So,
right. Section 31 has its own show too, called Section 31, obviously.
Exactly. So I first wanted to do that, and then it didn't. It took a while before. And actually, the first one I started off was with Star Trek Continuing Mission. That was basically on hiatus for about, I would say about a year, maybe two. But it was just by sheer luck where I actually sent out the message to Andy Terror, never got a reply, then sent out a Facebook message to Sebastian Pruth, and it was sheer luck that he was actually about to throw the scripts out and basically just say, that's it, we're putting the USS Montana into dry dock, and thank you very much, have a nice day. And boom, I came on and said, hey, I'm willing to help you out here. And we revived Star Trek The Continuing Mission. And then I did that one, and then I helped out on other audio programs where Jim Smagata, who's the director on Excelsior, heard what I was doing, and he actually directed me on an episode for Misfits Audio. Can't really remember offhand right now what the episode was, but he heard what I was doing and basically said, hey, do you want to come on board and help us out on Excelsior? I said, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. So now I was doing both. I was doing the continuing mission, and I was doing Excelsior as well. And then I got Lost Frontier. Chris Williams with another gentleman needed some help and offered my help because I'm already doing Doctor Who for Darker Projects. So it was easy for me to just jump on board with them and do that. And then comes in Shadows of Tyranny. Shadows of Tyranny is something that I've always wanted to do for the last, since I started doing audio programs. And with everything I've seen within the Star Trek universe as far as audio goes, I had never came across a Mirror Universe episode or a Mirror Universe show. And I always wanted to do that. I always loved the Mirror Universe, especially after watching
In There Darkly.
Exactly. So I really wanted to do it, and I pitched the idea to Sebastian Pruth, and he basically loved it. He jumped on board, and by sheer luck, we also got a really good writer of the name of Colin Thornton, an individual that I worked for as well on another program. He's from New Brunswick. Really good writer, an amazing writer. So he's the one that's writing all the scripts for Shadows of Tyranny, and that's basically where I'm at now.
Now, do you engineer, or do you have someone else as your engineer, or do you do just the directing, production, like organizing of your show? See, for example, I personally, for Starfinder, I'm not very good at engineering, so I delegate it. So I write and direct it, and I have other people. But you sounds like you're also an engineer, or am I wrong?
I am. I actually do audio engineering for a company called Colonial Radio. So I'm highly involved in the audio engineering. It's actually a hobby of mine, but
Ross
I
here
really love it. Yep.
Yeah, I do a lot of the audio editing for Gates of Tovacor. I'm going to be doing the upcoming episode of Starfinder, and in addition to organizing Blood of the Nair, I'll be doing much of the editing for that as well.
Cool.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of stuff involved. There's you need the time to do that. So I'm actually glad because I'm actually communicating with some of our colleagues within the Star Trek audio world, and to secure maybe some help from other audio engineers. So when their show is basically they're in between two episodes, then I can tack on to these individuals to help me out and do the episodes that are coming out. Like right now we have episode 2 that's in the it's basically being worked on right now by somebody else. We're just putting the final touches, but we're also, as we're doing that, we're highly involved into an episode of Excelsior that is very high level. So we're kind of
the one with the horror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's going to take some time, but we'll eventually.
Oh, you should take your time. I actually, it's funny. I'm in the same boat you are, because we're taking our time because we have, it's not exactly the same, but kind of in some people's opinions. Like we have Larry Nemesic on Starfinder who recorded with us for an episode that we're in the middle of for season 2 making, and we got set back, but we're trying to make sure it's this highest standard. And I'm sure I can only imagine, that because you guys crowdfund to get the money to hire her or Nichols.
I know Excelsior did. something.
Excelsior, sorry.
Yeah, Excelsior did. Anything for us as far as goes for Star Trek Continuing Mission? I know Sebastian, before I came on board, did get high-level profiled Star Trek actors to participate, and he actually never had to pay them. So he never actually did any crowdsourcing, crowdfunding.
Wow.
I tried to get that to happen. We have a mutual friend, Adrian Grady, who recorded as Savick for your Shadows of Tyranny, and she's been she's my co-producer on Starfinder, and she's also one of my co-stars in other shows like Bat Radio and one of the other ones coming up. But one of the things she mentioned once was because she's friends with Garrett Wang, who played Harry Kim. He recorded with Star Trek Online recently. She's done a lot of voiceover work for them too. And her fiance Jesse Heinig is also a friend of mine who has recorded with us, and he's a dev on Star Trek Online. Well, I asked her one time, what would it take could we even ask someone like Garrett Wang, and also the guy who plays Nog. What's his name again?
Aaron Eisenberg.
Yeah, Aaron Eisenberg, another friend of theirs who they hang out, and you can see on their Facebook that they have lunch together and stuff like that. If they were to just say, hey, will you help this friend of mine's fan thing out? They can't, because they're part of the union, and so they, you know what I mean. So I would imagine what you're just talking about right there must be people who were not part of the union, or how does that work?
I got to be honest with you, I have no idea.
Okay.
I totally.
I'm just asking.
No, I totally understand. Like having part of the union. I mean, definitely, if you're part of that, you got to pay the dues. You got things to.
Well, not only that, you're not allowed to do something for free. That's the problem.
Exactly.
If you do,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you get credited.
Oh yeah.
So we have a lot.
How was that work under the new guidelines, though?
We're about to get into the guidelines, but go ahead. Yeah, exactly. That's a good question. Well, technically, you're not supposed to hire actors anywhere. However, like they said, see, this is where we're going to get into it. Might as well jump into it now.
Yeah.
So, segueing into that. So, with the new guidelines, obviously, the big news that we were all waiting for was they literally said audio shows are not required to be following. Now, here's been my concern the whole time. Now, I was assured by people in the know that I'm reading too much into it and not to worry about this, but the whole reason they made the guidelines is because of abuse of the fan, the understanding, that unwritten thing about you're not going to go too far with this thing, and they did, which was Axanar. What I've always worried about, though, is although they're saying right now that audio shows are exempt, who's to say that can't change? Because let's say, for example, someone like Alec Peters or someone like him decides, well, it would cost me so much less to actually get a studio with mics and headsets and make an awesome audio show, the best one out there.
Here's the thing about that, George. Audio productions are not very popular in the United States. So even if he tried to, there wouldn't be much of an audience for it.
But, all right, I see what that is what Heyman said in the last episode. He did say, no offense to us audio people, but the niche audience for audio is simply, realistically, very minor compared to visual.
Very, very minor. I don't know. The podcasts are becoming more and more popular. So with that, maybe audio productions might make a bit of a resurgence too. But it's still nothing compared to the exposure of even a web series or a movie or a television show. Yeah. And especially, it's visual medium is a lot more popular and is going to make a lot more money.
Now, Matt, I don't know about you, but one of the things that inspired me to make Starfinder was the Big Finish Doctor Who audio series.
I actually never heard that one.
You never listened to it?
Never heard?
I've never heard. Well, actually, sorry. I've never actually listened to it.
Wow.
So, the only
I
Doctor
highly
Who...
recommend, as you as someone who's in the same field as me and Ross, and I'm just going to say, you're doing yourself a disservice to not listen to what the popular officially licensed Doctor Who Big Finish. As a matter of fact, they canonized it in one episode of the Doctor Who mini episode. There, they Stephen Moffat allowed Paul McGann's all of his audio companions that were never canon up until, because they were only Big Finish companions. They, in one mini episode, he actually allowed them to become canonized by having him shout them all out before he regenerated. Which was pretty awesome. But I'm just saying, if you haven't, do yourself a favor, listen to how they do it. You might be surprised compared to how you do it. Because
definitely.
You would think they'd be more like synthetic. What's the word I'm looking for? Synthetic. I'm not sure. No, I can't think of the word.
Synthesized.
Synthesized. That is the word. But you'd be surprised. They do most of their stuff through Foley, where they're like actually sitting there with their mic on the old radio shows.
Oh yeah.
And they're making up their sound effects. They're not using MP3 sound. Type synthesized sound effects to throw in there.
Yeah. But just to get back though to what we were talking about, the main subject here for a second though, one of the things that although we're talking about like audio shows are not being looked at, or we're still kind of making a comeback. Like the audio drama is actually starting to make a comeback, a small it's still a small niche, but we're there, we're involved. But it doesn't also, and that's something that enlightened me when I looked at the guidelines, and then I heard Mr. Van Sitter this morning on the bus, and I said, wait a second here, even though they're not looking at us, that doesn't permit us to do whatever we want.
Exactly.
That is true.
I mean,
that's been my fear.
And it's a wake-up call. I mean, this I gotta be honest, I think every single one of us in the production world of Star Trek in audio format has to take a step back and look at these guidelines and look at what's happening and go, wait a second here. And look at and ask yourself, really, whoa, where am I going with this? Am I going to be looked at? And this is personal for me with Shadows of Tyranny. Shadows of Tyranny, one of the things that we set out to do in the Mirror Universe, I mean, there's stuff that we want to do or wanted to do in the future episodes where, I would be crossing the line.
I don't think you have to worry about it, to be honest with you. But
again, we talked about it last week.
Well, you know what, guys? I don't know. It's like, okay, let me put it this way. Take one of your favorite characters, okay, and I'll chop his head off on audio. Like,
they talked about that. They talked about that actually in that interview. They talked about how if you took Wesley Crusher and he pulled someone's heart out. Remember that?
Exactly.
But you're in the Mirror Universe.
Good point.
I am. But if we look at the Mirror Universe from TOS, all the Mirror Universe in DS9, and even the Inner Mirror Darkly, okay, we can probably stab somebody. We could probably kill him. We could probably even eject him from the nearest airlock.
You gotta kill a Ferengi in every episode.
Exactly.
No, a Tribble.
But don't behead him.
But remember this. I don't know if you ever read this series. That there was a series of Voyager novels and TNG. It was an adult pocketbooks thing where it was the Mirror Universe, but it was in the Voyager timeline, and there was a lot of sex in it. And it starts 7 and 9, and the version of 7 and 9 in the Mirror Universe, and how she related to how she was an agent, and she was for the Empire or under Kira, and she was she wasn't a former Borg, but she had implants to make her. I don't mean implants in the sense that you guys are probably thinking, ironically, but it was. But it was I can't remember the name of the series, but it was a 3-part novel series, and it was really adult, but it was not canon. It was officially licensed pocketbooks, but they warned everybody this is adult material because they were kind of going dark. But it was the 7 and 9 Mirror Universe and her adventures. And basically, she slept with everybody. Okay,
and we do warn people. I mean, you've heard the first episode in our little vignette that we do, and we do actually say to people, be prepared.
You do a good job at disclaiming. Yes,
we do the disclaimer. So I mean, so it's something that so following the interview last that I heard and all that, I basically sat down. And I was like, well, wait a minute, do I really have to go all the way to that extreme? Even though I am in the Mirror Universe, do I need to go to that extreme? And I'm still debating it. I've had some conversations with with Sebastian, and we're actually, I voiced it out, and we're still thinking about it. Of maybe either instead of chopping his head off, we'll probably just kill him off. Stab him. There you go, done. And stuff like that, and maybe tone it a bit down.
Well, they in the Mirror Universe, don't they have those pain torture devices systems?
Yeah.
I mean, they showed that on Star Trek. They were torturing a guy as Kirk was walking
There's
by.
a lot of sex going on more. Well, okay.
Right. A lot of sex. I mean, this was back in the 60s, remember, when they wrote that. So, I mean, under the guidelines of the 60s television thing. Yeah. So, I guess, again, we talked about this last week. Yeah. If people that have concerns, you can talk to CBS. They'll work with you to see whether they'll accept it or not.
Actually, no, it's the other way around. I know that, Will, you didn't listen to the interview. We established that before we started the show. So I'll just tell you, one of the things they said was they don't require people to approach them. They're going to leave you alone unless you hear from them. And they said the odds of you hearing from them are probably pretty low. I mean, you're going to have to really screw up basically to get the attention of them content.
Yeah, they're not going to come down on me because your captain had a shot of Saurian brandy in an episode.
You don't have to clear it with them, is what they're trying to say. They literally said that. They said, do what you got to do, and then don't worry about it. And if we have a concern, we'll talk to you.
Yeah, and I think ultimately what I'm just getting at too is this is a wake up call. You know, I think it's a wake up call for everybody to go and just take a step back, look at your productions, and go, okay, am I correct? Like, one of the things I can be honest with you, and you did, and you did this on your own, and I found it really awesome, and I think I'm actually gonna do it as well. It's basically changing all your promotional material from Star Trek Starfinder to the actual Starfinder, a Star Trek, fan production.
That's one of the things that was in the guidelines as well. We've done that across all of our shows, including Gates of Sto-vo-kor and Blood of the Near.
Yeah, but I know where he's heading with this. They didn't say we had to, but the fact that we did is only going to make it easier for them to overlook any problems we might do.
Exactly, and Outpost. Outpost did it, and
Renegades. He kind of said. Renegades, because he said in that, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, so just talk over me. But anyways, Renegades said when Renegades chose to drop Star Trek and change all their stuff, in the interview he was talking to him, the guy about, he said, he already basically said, if you're in the middle of making a fan show and we drop these guidelines, are you going to come after us? No. So when Renegades did it, it was like, basically he was trying to say that they didn't have to, but the fact that they did probably was a good idea in the long run. But he was just saying that they weren't planning on going after Renegades. What they were basically trying to say when all said and done is, it's not you guys, it's Alec Peters. Alec Peters is the one who has a lawsuit. He's the one that went too far, not the rest of you.
Yep. Yeah. So, but I mean, if we as a community. And I'm going to be honest with you, that this week I think we saw how tight knit our community is.
Oh yeah,
we don't regularly speak to each other, but we all know who we are. And I got to be honest with you guys, with people that work on your shows, my shows, everybody's shows, people out there in Hollywood know about us. And I'll give you an example. When Renegades, their first episode went out, I had Tom Antonellis, one of my actors playing Scotty, Rico Anderson, who also is going to be in our second episode. And Rico's, you've seen him on Horizon, you've seen him on Renegades.
We have?
Oh yeah, Rico basically in Horizon is the black Vulcan, and in Renegades he's not the main evil character. He's like his second in command. So that's
the idiot son.
I want to say this to anybody listening out there. If I don't recognize your audio credential name, I apologize.
Yeah. No, that's fine. So, anyways, so they were out there. They were mingling with Tim Russ. They were mingling with all the big guys, right? And Tom Antonellis did raise it up, and he goes, "Oh yeah, I'm on this show. It's called Shadows of Tyranny, Star Trek audio production." And Tim Russ basically turned around and said, "Oh yeah, I know that show."
You're right about that. The
the
niche
they
thing.
know.
Yeah. We're the community. Yes.
Oh yeah. So they know about us. I mean, they know about us. They'll never. I don't want to say they'll never come and say, "Hey guys, you guys are doing an awesome job."
No, you know what?
Hopefully they will.
I'll tell you a quick story. Oh, actually, yeah. I'll throw this out there real quick. I'm not trying to self promote. I'm following up on what you just said. That's the only reason I'm bringing this up. I'm not trying to brag, self pimp, or anything like that. But there's a true story here. Back in 2012, when I was developing Starfinder, okay, we didn't know if this was going to go anywhere. I was working for Subspace Radio. I was a writer for them. They were a bunch of my friends. We said, hey, we got all this voice talent, and we were friends with Star Trek Online. Let's make a show in the Star Trek Online universe and kind of pay homage to them. It wasn't meant for any kind of profit or anything but fun. So when we created it over time, let's put it this way. They put the ship in the game over time, and they also they helped pimp us to get the biggest burst of support, because we at the time, and this is the irony, I was telling Michael Himman about this last episode, we didn't have guidelines back then the way that they do now, but I did call and ask CBS, and the woman from marketing said, original music, don't use the Delta logo, and mostly don't use any of the Trek music because there's royalty things. There's a lot of third-party stuff going on. Mm-hmm. And as long as you don't use the Delta logo, you use original music, they should have no reason to worry about it. And we were left alone. So not only that, but Star Trek Online, who has to listen to CBS also, they couldn't do a lot with talking about Starfinder or any other fan show in the game itself, because as they told me, that's showing favoritism, and CBS has to clear that stuff. If they were to acknowledge Starfinder as a show in the game, CBS would that could risk everything, because that's like saying it's canon in their universe.
Oh yeah, and they're endorsing, and it's basically saying I'm endorsing you. So henceforth, you're endorsing me. Exactly.
So they did two things to acknowledge fan shows over the last few years. Number one, when Renegades came out, I don't remember the name of the aliens in Renegades, but they put them in the game as they name dropped them. But they didn't they didn't like acknowledge Renegades. They just put the aliens as a name drop to sort of say, we're recognizing you as a fan show without getting in trouble with CBS. Number two, they put Starfinder in the final mission of the Iconian War arc in the last big expansion they had, the Iconian War. They put our ship in the final mission. We screenshot it. We put it on our website, and and it's there as an NPC ship that comes to the rescue to help out in the last battle. Now, just by doing that, it doesn't mean anything. They're not saying Starfinder, this crew, these people, blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
But it was their way of saying, this is as much as we can get away with, but we're going to give you something.
Yeah, it's like we know you exist.
Exactly.
Here's a little thank you for all your efforts and what you're doing for us, but you guys know about this. You know the relationship between this.
And I love I gotta say, I wish James was with us right now, but I gotta say, as a fan of Excelsior, which was one of the things I listened to study when I was preparing for Starfinder, so that I could understand how should I do my version of an audio series. My thing is, I kind of wish that they had not used Excelsior as the name of their ship and series, only because you don't have any distinguishable traits from the Excelsior, from the Sulu's Excelsior versus one Enterprise versus another, to say this is the one we're talking about, like you do with Starfinder. I wish they had made up an original ship name, but I understand where they're coming from at the time they made the show in the beginning.
Yeah, and actually, and James knows about this because we did talk about this on Trek FM together, and it's actually thanks to Sebastian, but greatly to him, that Shadow's Eternity does exist. He's the one that actually really, really pushed and said, Matt, just do it. Just don't ask, just do it yourself. Go ahead, find people and just go ahead. And because I wanted to pitch my story originally, the story, I wanted to try and pitch it to Excelsior. Then I tried to incorporate it in Lost Frontier or whatever. But he's really the one that said, go do it. And then I pushed Sebastian to do this, and I'm actually glad all these guys are involved. That's why it's so fun to see how tight knit our niche is. And we're so close, because we help each other. We really help each other out, and
I think that we can work together. And Ross, I'm sure you could speak for Gates and Bond. I'm sure.
Oh yeah,
we could definitely all. Work
the more the merrier.
Yeah, exactly. And you said, I like I said, I listened to Shadows of Tyranny's first episode. Yep. John and Will, I apologize, I didn't get a chance to get you guys a chance to check that out before the show. But I encourage you afterwards. High quality audio stuff, awesome stuff.
Thanks.
Sure.
Yeah, we do our best. We really do our best, and it's constant evolving with working with James, working with Colonial Radio and all these, and getting tips and tricks from everybody. And actually, that's brings me to something I wanted to share with you guys, and
sure.
see how good of an opinion you guys have of this idea. And I work for the federal government in Canada, and one of my main jobs as a team lead for a development team is we develop a kind of a LinkedIn /Facebook/Twitter application for the federal government for all public servants. So we're doing social media for the public servants to talk to each other and share ideas and so forth. And I kind of like the software that we're using. It's an open source, a free software. And I was thinking of basically putting this out, building it, and sharing it for all audio productions, so that we can all have because we do have audio. What is it called? Audio Drama Talk, which is a forum, which is great. I mean, they do a really good job. You can go in there, you can talk, you can, but there's kind of like that missing, 21st century social media exchange.
I have seen some sites that will help each other out as far as sort of archiving what's out there for audio. They do that for Starfinder. That's what I love about the community. That's what I love about our niche community. Like one day I'm like out there Googling just for the hell of it, Starfinder or whatever, and I find this site that has all of our episodes. It's a fan thing. They combined all of them and organized them, and I never even heard of these guys. And they never even talked to me. And they've got all of my episodes listed in chronological order to display to the public. And I was noticing on my website the traffic on my metrics. Like, I'm looking at it because we use a, we're like sitting there looking at the traffic and where it's coming from and all that stuff. And I'm just like, wait a minute. What is this site? And I click it, and it's got all of our episodes. It's been weird. We got this. They're not even trying to take credit. That's what drives me. That's is cool, really that's what's strange to me is that they never even tried to contact me. They just took it upon themselves to say, we're going to take all your episodes, we're going to put them out there, and we don't care if you even know who the hell we are. We love all things Star Trek and fan things, and we're just going to help you out. And they just kind of do it from the shadows.
And it's great. I mean, it's thanks to them that we're getting that traffic to our sites. And it's really awesome. It's cool. It's really cool.
John, for example, does he does a awesome 3D site called Vanishing Point. Now, I've shown you my promotional arc that I do. Now, I taught myself that, and I went to school for it. But John's site, if you should check it out sometime. He has a lot of awesome Star Trek assets and bridges and awesome,
cool,
awesome stuff. Check it out sometime. So it's on our Starfinder site.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. Thanks. Definitely.
And they also have some free Star Trek ships as well.
Oh. And John, and you know what, John, I'm going to be talking to you in the future because I got some ideas for the what they call the Kelvin timeline. Now you got the JJ bridge asset. So I've got some ideas about doing a graphic novel where the Starfinder of the JJ timeline and what they were all about.
Okay.
I'll be talking about that with you some other time.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have to see if you have the USS Montana on there.
What class is it?
Oh my god, what class was the Montana?
His site has a lot of amazing free assets as well as the ones that you pay for, but they're affordable.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up. I have to dig it up. You've asked me a very good question. What? I wish Sebastian was right here right now. Like,
okay, let me narrow it down. Montana, what era? What era are we talking about?
Okay. Star Trek: The Continuing Mission started off in the Wrath of Khan era.
Okay, so you're talking like the Red Jacket era.
Red Jacket era.
I call it Red Jacket era.
Yeah.
Monster Maroon.
Yeah, so, and then what happens is that after the first episode, during the first episode, something happens where they're actually sucked in and then reappear right before TNG. So, and then what we do is we keep the ship, but then we just basically put on...
It's Excelsior class.
No, it's not.
Oh,
Miranda?
I'm looking
Constitution?
At
Miranda? Oh my god, wait a second.
Oh, it's Archer class.
Huh?
Well, it depends on which wiki you're looking at, because it says it's either Archer class or it's Excelsior class.
Nope. None of those. Shoot. I wish he was here. Anyways, I'll find it. I'll definitely...
Wait. You said of the continuing missions, right?
Yeah.
I got your wiki right in front of me. Hold on. The refit... Okay, you're looking at the refit Montana. I don't know.
I'll find it. I'll find it. I'll send it off to us. But yeah, it's it's a real cool ship. I mean, if you go to our Facebook page, we have it in there. It's in dry dock. So it's in dry dock, and you'll like it. I mean, I think you'll really enjoy it, and you'll probably even
was
see it.
this ship ever in Bridge Commander?
I don't recall. I don't think so.
All right. You know, I've noticed that Star Trek Online, for example, is about to for their new expansion, Agents of Yesterday. They've got 2 or 3 ships that I used to use that were original ships modded for Bridge Commander, like the dual hull. I can't remember the class name. I think it's the Aegis class, but is a carrier. But they have like a lot of the designs that I'm seeing in their trailers are from Bridge Commander for the TS modified things. That's why I was asking, because I was wondering if like it was one of those not official mod classes that were introduced from the TOS era.
It could be. To tell the truth, I'm not familiar. I can't remember, but man, I'm just trying to find again what it was.
It's all right. We'll figure it out.
Definitely. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so basically there's a lot of things going on right now that are exciting. Does anybody have any questions for Matt out of here before I, continue? That you could think of?
Where can we find your shows?
Okay, so definitely the first one, Star Trek The Continuing Mission, is at StarTrekContinuingMission.com. So I'll be updating the website because we kind of I left it with the statement that we were dropping the show for now, but now I'll revive it for sure. We also have in the works, we have episode 9, Stealth and Sacrifice. So I'm actually still writing that one. And then you have shadowsoftyranny.com, which is the Star Trek Mirror Universe with TOS era. All of our very favorite characters, especially Adrian Grady as Savick. Lovely lady. Lovely.
Oh, yeah.
And I
yes,
love
she
her.
is.
She's a very good friend of ours. We talk to her actually.
Yeah.
Me and Ross talk to her every day.
She is an amazing Savick.
She's an amazing person, but yeah, she's a good Savick too.
Oh yeah, she is, and I love her rendition of Savick. It's
funny?
really good.
I've got to take credit for her Savick because I'll tell you why. Because she had been playing Lieutenant Valor, on Starfinder, which is the deputy security chief Vulcan, and she said to me, "I'm so glad I've been playing a Vulcan for the last several months because it made me prepare for going for the role of Savick for this show." And it was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, she is. She's really good.
Had she ever played a Romulan before?
Yes, on Star Trek Online. Yes. Officially, on Star Trek Online, she played a Romulan, one of the main NPCs in several of the missions that they voiced her.
Wow.
Yeah.
A Romulan, at least one Cation. I think she played a Kobali. She's all over the place.
Yep.
Oh man, this is funny. I'm sorry, guys. On my desk, I just saw my wife's driver's license.
Oh, all right. Well, that's
okay. It's like she's driving her car without her license. Awesome.
Oh dear.
It's like,
dude, I don't know about Canada, but in America, they're like, as long as she's not ugly, which I'm assuming she's not.
No. In certain states, if you get pulled over without your license, they won't let you continue.
They'll just go, you're doing heroin in the car? Oh, you're driving without a license? Oh, well, next time, just don't do that, okay?
You will get ticketed. You will get ticketed. You won't get arrested.
No, my girlfriend never gets ticketed. She all she has to do is be like, "Oh, geez, I'm so sorry, officer. I left it at home or whatever," and they'll be like, "Okay."
Yeah, try that with a female cop.
Yeah,
try that with a female cop.
I don't know. Sometimes it works.
Well, today's not too bad. I mean, with President Obama being in town in Ottawa, I mean, all the cops are they're basically just busy. They're busy on Parliament Hill. They're busy at the gallery. They're busy all over the place, man. They're just on every single street. I mean, it was hell. To tell you the truth, downtown Ottawa, it was very hard to come in and go out, and we actually had no one in the office because they basically said if you can work from home, do so. So we're like, okay, sure, all right, fine. It was like, so it was, yeah, wasn't. We're lucky he just came twice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Having somebody from Canada. Go ahead.
Yeah, so just to finish off like all the shows there, so have you, like we talked almost all night. Excelsior, you'll see my name pop in here and there, and I'm actually trying to work on the latest episode for Lost Frontier, which is Cat's Claw. So we're going to be hearing the Caitians in this episode, but unfortunately, I'm hoping cooler heads will prevail. And we're going to see Lost Frontier coming back to darker projects. There's been
so that's
some
the name
friction.
of the production. Oh, I was going to mention you also. You said you were doing a Doctor Who thing.
Yes.
Now I have a production coming out for Doctor Who that's been in the works called Ambrosia, and I'll talk to you. I'm gonna, now that I know that you've been working on a Doctor Who thing, you and I are going to be talking some more after the show. What's funny before this is, I swear to God, this is not for self promotion. It's just coincidence he's talking about this. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because the guidelines dropped. The BBC are well known to be much harsher than CBS, and this is why I've been concerned lately. So when I was making Ambrosia, which is about a female companion to a Time Lord who used the reverse chameleon arch to become a Time Lord because he was dying, he was out of regeneration, so he turns her into a Time Lord, and the Doctor and Clara find her. And Adrian, by the way, plays Ambrosia. Coincidence. Mm-hmm. Anyway, that's her Time Lord name because it's the nectar of the gods, turns a human into a god. So it's like,
oh yeah,
that's the idea. You were doing a Battlestar Galactica crossover.
No, Ross knows what I'm talking about. We've had this show in the works for the last 7 months, something like that. And I've got a whole Facebook page and artwork. And
last week you were talking about the crossover between Doctor Who and Star Trek,
right?
They have Ambrosia in Battlestar Galactica. That's what they drink. That's their drink.
That's probably why they call it that, because it's so good. But I know what you're saying. But we actually have a theme music original composed. We've got Dalek voices down, all this stuff. We've been pre-producing this for a long time.
Okay.
But the only reason I'm bringing it up though is not to go, hey, look at me, I can do this. It's because when these guidelines dropped, it made me start to think, okay, this is CBS's reaction to somebody going too far. Every time somebody tries to do something for Doctor Who, I've noticed that the BBC they're very harsh when it comes to, nope, can't do that. Oh, nope, that's official stuff. Boom, boom, boom. They knock you off of YouTube.
I'm actually super surprised because...
No, I'm not talking about fan stuff. I'm talking about anything you upload on YouTube. This is why I was like... So what I originally did was I called it Doctor Who Ambrosia. Then I realized this was even way before, ahead of this stuff with Star Trek. I said, you know what? I'm just going to call it Ambrosia. Mm-hmm. And so we've been like, and we got a Scottish guy that sounds like the 12th Doctor to do the Doctor in this episode. But as I was getting this all put together, I'm like, after this stuff came out, I'm like, oh man, am I gonna be wasting everybody's time because the BBC are gonna see the precedent of what happened over here with Axanar and say, well, no, screw this, no fan productions. And so it's kind of held me back a little bit. So I don't know. What do you think?
Well, okay, I'm doing one for Darker Projects. I'm kind of like the lead producer on that, and I'm actually also I did one, and I'm waiting for information to do the next one. Also one for Gypsy Audio, and they call it the Doctor Chronicles. And this one is actually almost the same precedence. Actually, it's funny you talk about that. It's almost the same precedence where the Doctor regenerates and becomes a female Doctor.
Oh, that's been done before in those books with the girl with the red bust there. What's her name?
Can't remember.
I forget the character's name. It's the opposite universe. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but so the Doctor Chronicles. That's and those are like half an hour. That one's a half an hour. The other one's about a half an hour to an hour. Productions. But yeah, I mean they're doing it. I'm fully like I'm using stuff that's there. That is Doctor Who stuff,
right?
That you find, and so far so good. I mean, I've never heard anything from the council at Darker Projects about anything about any information that was received by BBC or what, or any warnings of any kind.
It's an audio, right? So it's an audio production, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So my thinking is the less... But see, Doctor Who is also known because of, like I said, the Big Finish. That's why I was like, that's like a big area for them,
Yeah.
So I I'm starting to not worry about the more these guidelines have come out and the more they've clarified all this.
Well, just look at Star Wars. Let's look at Star Wars. Okay. Lion's Mouth Entertainment are doing an extremely good, awesome audio program called. They have it's a 5-part. What is it? It's Conquest of the Empire. It's a 5-part, really awesome. They did a sequel to that called Crusades of the Rebellion, and they're working on their 4th episode to that one, and really, really, really good audio. And they're to Star Wars, right? And as you heard in the interview this morning, John basically said it. Star Wars has stricter guidelines for their
well, they do it. Don't they do it as like contests or something?
They do. Yes, they do. But when it comes to fan audio, if you go to StarWarsFanWorks.com, there's a gazillion on there, and really well. I mean, there's parodies, there's all sorts of stuff, and it's really cool. It's really well done, and it's over the limit of 5 minutes that Star Wars gives, right? And they're still in business.
I just linked you something real quick. I just want you to. I'm just wanting to give you an example. Like, obviously, you can see I put Adrian's head on the character.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the only reason I'm showing you this is because originally, like I said, it said it had the Doctor Who in the title, and now I took it away, just like I did with Starfighter. Like, instead of Star Trek, Starfighter, instead of Doctor Who and Broja. The more we've been talking about this, I'm starting to think, because I've had a few people ask me, are we going to record all this and do the editing? Because we got people to compose music for this and everything, and have the BBC get all, anal about it. And I'm starting to think, no, if it was because it's an audio thing.
Yeah. I mean, give credit to that's how we do it. We give credit to the people that created these.
Or disclaimers. Yeah,
disclaimers, credits, and the whole 9 yards, right? And it's.
And we're not raising money for it.
No, we're not at all. We're not selling these. We're not making little coffee
T-shirts.
cups, T-shirts, or
no
anything.
Merchandise.
Exactly.
No coffee.
Yeah. Oh, hey, you guys. I think I just saw something from Outpost pop up on Facebook. I don't know
if
it's
breaking news in the middle of the show. This could be awesome.
Could be. I would love to.
We've had this happen once. Ross broke the news about it turned out not to be true, but anyways.
It was less than accurate. Not totally inaccurate, but not completely accurate.
No, false alarm. I thought it was something, but now it looks like it's it's basically something in relation to the Enterprise prop restore to its former glory.
I got a question for you. How long ago did you get involved in the audio Star Trek community? But I mean, roughly, has it been 10 years, 5 years?
No, funny. I've been doing audio stuff for 2 years.
Really?
Yeah, and it's funny because I picked it up, and this is how I picked it up. Okay, I basically saw an email go through in a Yahoo forum on Darker Projects about the fact that they're not doing they're not pumping out productions as fast as they can because they're missing editors or mixers or producers, however you guys want to call it. And so I just answered back and I said, well, guys, tell me what the software is, tell me a bit of how it works, and I'm pretty sure I can pick it up. Next thing you know, I have this gentleman that contacts me back and says, it's hard, it's you need patience, you need this, blah 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 blah. And I'm like, go, let's go. I'm ready for this. Let's go. And within probably 2 weeks, I've already had his little 5-minute skit example already done out, and I already had a Doctor Who episode in my lap ready to go, and ready to start mixing. And then I think I had that one done within 3 weeks or something like that.
So that episode's been released.
It has not been released, and the only reason it hasn't been released is because while I was working on that episode, another gentleman was working on the previous episode, and and something happened, and basically we had the council at Darker Projects needed to realign, and they actually requested I would take on that episode, and so I've taken on that episode, and for unforeseen...
Trust me when I say we know what it's like when it comes to holding back project things that are done because of reasons.
Yep.
And
Ross
then,
knows. Yeah.
Yeah, and then other projects came on board and other things. And it's funny because, as I'm working diligently on this project for the Doctor Who project to get that one done, because it's actually the final nail in the 6-parter Doctor Who episode. And they're just waiting for that one to basically say, okay, that's it. The 6-part is done. And we can release it now. We can release the other ones out. One of the member of the council approached me to go and work for another company, to a paying company. So it's kind of funny. It's like, I'm trying to finish it off for you, but you asked me to go here.
Trust me, you and Ross would have a lot to talk about, because we went through the same thing when we made our 3-part Klingon episode for Starfinder, because that
was a lot of fun.
We were waiting for this. We were waiting for our regular audio engineer to finish episode 2. Before launching into our 3-part, because we had introduced the Klingon ship
4-part.
Yeah, well, okay, that technically with the 2 bookends, right? We were waiting for our audio engineer to finish episode 2. Now he was kind of moving a little slow because he had a lot of this is the problem with fan shows. If you're not getting paid, it's your time, and if you got real life, which should always come first, that can delay things. So I would say it's a problem, but it's not a problem. It's the way it is, and so we had people who had done the next 3 episodes, and they were pretty much all ready to go. And we were waiting for number 2 to come out because this guy's waiting and waiting and waiting. Now, it's not his fault because he had to wait for re-recordings from people, and they weren't getting back to him from the regular crew, blah, 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 blah. But I had to make a decision, and they talked about this in this review on this one blog site. I had to make a decision. I have introduced this Klingon crew and ship in the pilot, and we're about to head into episode 2. Now, no sooner than episode 2 gets done, then I could either launch the next episode, or if it takes longer, or I could do the Klingon point of view, which is the first 2 episodes, and then it gets the Starfinder crew come in afterwards, and they merge, and because it switches perspectives. So the decision was, do I change gears and go from the Federation crew, the main crew, to the Klingon crew, and hope the fans will be cool about it, how it all comes together later. And I had to make a decision because I looked at the projections, and it was like, if I didn't do this, it was going to be maybe another 6 months. And I was like, you know what? Screw it. The fans I'm going to give the fans some credit. They're smarter than this. They know they're going to figure it out, and I'm just going to hope for the best. And then we did it. We just went for it. Now we got the critic for that site noticed that. He said, I kind of wish he had waited. But at the same time, the fans, I'm in the IRC chats when they were doing the live reveals on the radio shows for our syndicators. Yeah. They loved it. They didn't care. They just they just wanted content.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's one thing that I started off with Shadows of Tyranny, and we're actually going to start doing that with the continuing mission. Is between each episode, I want to do a small vignette. I just want to do. I
do mini-shows all the time.
Exactly, it's just a 5 minutes. So this way, by the time I released the full-fledged half an hour or whatever episode,
you were being very smart. I'm telling you right now, the fans love it.
And it's basically, here's a big one. Okay, now, because you're waiting diligently for us to work on this other episode, here's a little teaser for you.
This is exactly, I totally agree. I had a guy, one of my production managers kept insisting that was a bad idea, but I cited Battlestar Galactica, which used to release those mini episodes. Do you know which ones I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
It does work, because as a modern storytelling tool, what you're doing is you're giving the fans some content in the form of a short story, even if it's like Doctor Who does it, the mini episodes.
Yeah, they do. And I love it. And it's funny because I already have my 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5 are already made. They're ready. They're already mixed. They're ready to go. And I can't because of the way they're structured or the story goes, I can't release them because or else I'm going to be ruining.
Your hands are tied. Yeah.
Yeah, they're tied right now. So I can't wait for episode 2 to come out so that I can then a couple weeks after release the 2.5. And
sometimes what you have to do is you have to create the mini episodes that are ambiguous to the overall storyline, so that it can fall into any time period.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm doing for the continuation. I have an idea for a vignette that I already written, and I kind of rewrite it a bit because one of our members, Patrick McCrae, when I pitched him the idea and I pitched him the script, he came back. And although he says, Matt, don't change it if you like it, stick to your gun. I'm actually giving it. I'm going to follow his direction because I really love where he's going with it. So we're going to be redoing it, and we'll probably have a little Spock cameo on there. So that's going to be awesome.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I don't know about Ross or anybody else, but I can say that I look forward to talking to you in the future because, we just met. We have a lot of common friends, and I think that with all the news going on, with the audio change, or not the audio changes, I should say, the clarifications.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. Now that we know that we don't have to sweat, you know what I mean? We don't have to be sweaties.
But we don't have to sweat, but we still need to
be careful.
Be careful, right? Don't step over the bounds, because it just takes one person, one group to
mess
to
it
do
all
something.
up.
I know that feeling all too well.
Ross,
but yes, absolutely. I'd love to continue our conversation and foster more communication between our different shows. Like I said before, the more the merrier.
Oh, definitely, and I think that we have as and this is bringing us really together more. Like I've spoken to Giant Gnome a couple of times on and off, but never really big conversation with Nick Armstrong or Tom Raymond. Just here and there on
for those
email.
that aren't aware, who are Giant Gnome?
Yeah, and then
who are Giant Gnome? I've never heard of them.
Giant Gnome, they're a Star Trek Outpost.
Oh, I knew that.
Yeah. So and
no, you didn't. I'm just kidding.
So and anybody else, but I mean, what's fun is that now I think we have an opportunity now to bring us closer and start not only dialoguing on our shows but it's also socializing about how to do this, how to do that. Hey, are you guys like on a hiatus between 2 episodes? If so, does anybody have some time to come on our show and help us out to mix, to do this? Anybody to have tools to help us out? And I think we have the perfect opportunity to do that right now.
It's funny you mentioned that. Okay, so Ross and I are part of this chat. In fact, it's funny because Adrian started this chat. It was a collaboration. I'll have to add you to it. So there's this chat that Ross and I are involved with that for audio people. Okay, I just met you, so that's the only reason why I didn't invite you. But there's this guy I invited at the behest of somebody else who runs the podcast Tribbles and Ecstasy, very popular podcast. He's a friend of mine. He has had all the bigwigs on his show. He does stuff for me and Starfinder and Bat Radio. And there's this guy that he's friends with that he had. He started chat and asked me his advice as starting an audio show. So this guy wanted to have this idea. Star Trek Online is about to do temporal Agents of Yesterday, involving where the players become temporal agents. Now that's been a minor theme in Starfinder too. But the thing is that this guy had this idea that was really good. Actually, it's kind of like sort of Quantum Leap in a way. It's like it's like a time agent it has to do a lot with his father. But it's kind of more complicated than that. But it's not about a ship. It's about a singular time agent and him dealing with some stuff with his father. Kind of sounds like a J.J. Kirkish, but a little bit different.
Yeah. Okay.
But,
okay.
So he
almost an NCIS. NCIS means time agents.
Oh yeah. Okay, so we invited him to the chat. He was asking advice, and a bunch of people gave him some advice. He liked the idea of hooking it into the same shared universe as Blood in the Air, which Ross is doing, Gates of Stove, of course, Starfinder. But he was looking for advice on how to get this thing really started, who to look for resources, and we were all encouraging him. Now, he picked an interesting time to try to get involved in all this, because just after he started doing all that, they dropped those guidelines. So he was like, whoa, what's going on? What am I getting in my head into?
Very good timing.
Very good
timing.
Oh, yeah. Would you have any advice, if I asked him to listen to this episode right now and I time index this, what advice would you give him as somebody who has this great idea, but he has no clue how to start? What advice would you give him?
Oh my God. I think what he's doing right now is probably the best thing he could do, is go out there and talk to the people that are already active. Right. You know, like yourself, myself, James, the Giant Gnomes, and just talk, you know, see how they're doing their shows, how they do the approach, how do they do the request, how they request basically the audio to come back. And, you know, depending on his experience, like, I gotta be honest, when he just has ideas. Know, like, so, because when I came on, I came on board as an audio mixer, I had no clue about how to do a treatment, how to set up my ideas, making sure I have, you know, the A story, B story, and even a C story within there, and you know, and how to do a treatment for it to expand on my ideas, and then looking at the treatment and going from the treatment and doing the breakdown of that treatment into a breakdown of scenes, and then from there then doing the actual dialogue and doing the actual script, and you know, using tools like a lot of people use Word, and because they're used to using Word or something. I actually fell into this little software called Trelby, which is basically a freeware or open source freeware version of Final Draft.
I started using Google Docs, but then I ended up. You have Word on. You can use the free Word Online thing.
Exactly. Anything, right? And it's how you feel, and I think that's probably the ultimate, is how you feel best and how you work best. And you do your work, but I think for him, I guess the best advice is basically like he's doing, right? He has ideas, mark them down. Mark down all the ideas, and then probably do a treatment, which is kind of like a summary of what you want to do.
Yeah, he's in the middle of working on a treatment. He's got some great characters built up.
Perfect, you know, and I know that Darker Project, the Star Trek Lost Frontier, I love that. They actually do have the breakdown of the entire season, and I think James actually does that as well. He has the breakdown of the entire season, show by show, what's going to happen, what's the story about. Even it has the guidelines of like his characters, who they are, what they've done in the past, their backstory. It's all laid down, so it's actually easy for me to submit an idea.
That acts as a writer's guide for you.
Exactly, yeah. And it was actually super fun. It's just super easy for me to actually put a story together for Excelsior and provide it to.
I need to write some of that down. That's currently all that stuff's in my head.
Yeah, I mean, I did this, like, for example, when Ross did the Klingon episodes, there was when they did the episode where they had to take Starfinder and bring them into, you know, by the third act, they had to bring them in. Mm-hmm. You guys did a fantastic job, Ross, because I had so many conversations with you guys, and I'd given you the script links from the Google Docs, and you actually they actually recreated the pilot episode. You might laugh at this, Matt and John. Everybody might laugh at this, but one of the lines in Starfinder's pilot episode was the Klingon Valkyra. She decloaks, and she's supposed to be this, you know, typical Klingon warrior woman. She's supposed to have big breasts, and she's supposed to, like, she's telling the captain to stay out of her way. We're exploring this new region. They rescued him from the Tholians, and the captain says something in Klingon. Now, I actually got something. And that's accurate. That's actually the line. It's actual Klingon. We have a
Klingon language expert with Gates.
So it was all over Twitter after this episode aired. So the captain says this, and she says, "Oh, your knowledge of the Klingon language is very impressive, Captain. I'm very impressed," or whatever. And she says, "I'm quite proud of them myself. You're quite pleasing to die for a non-Klingon. Just stay out of our way," or whatever. And she lets them go, right? So then the helmsman turns to him and says, "I didn't know you spoke Klingon language. My Klingon is a little rusty, Captain. But didn't you just say?"
Did you just compliment her breasts?
Did you just compliment her breasts? And the captain says, "Well, two things. Number one, she's a Klingon. And number two, they filled half the view screen, so I had nothing else to go with." And so, but that became, they did on Gates, when we did the Gate, we had a different actress for the same character of Valkyra, the general, who's in a romance with the captain, sort of. And we lost the original actress and had to recast her. So when they did the Gates episode, they actually took the scene where that happened. They took my script and they recreated it from their point of view.
Okay.
It was a setup.
It was neat the way they did it, though. The only reason I'm mentioning that is because kind of what you were just talking about. By having access to all the resources as a collaborator, you can really do something special like that, where you can actually, take that script and tweak it and say, let's show that from a different point of view.
Yeah. That's it's very interesting because we were talking about this morning, myself and Sebastian, we're talking about after we've done Shadows and we're done with it, because we're only going to be doing six episodes of Shadows, and we started thinking about saying, you know what we could do is remaster, go back to.
We have talked about that too.
Yeah,
it's funny
and remaster basically the continuing mission, and that's an idea. Like we're exploring the idea right now of doing.
It's funny you just mentioned that, Matt. Even if this was a visual series we're talking about, they mentioned on that podcast last night.
Yeah.
That if you remaster
it was specifically brought up. Yeah,
it was
that remastering is okay.
It's grandfathered in. It doesn't count against you.
Exactly, and it was actually funny when they clarified that, because one of the things that Sebastian and I talked about last week when it first came down, and we were debating. Well, okay, so do we take everything down? And they basically said no. I said to him, I said no, they can't. They can't. It's going to be grandfathered. He goes, yeah, but it's not written. I'm like, I don't care if it's written or not. I mean, the rules came out today.
They weren't even rules. That's the key thing. Guidelines.
Exactly. They came out with the guidelines now. We did this like friggin'
think like a pirate.
Exactly.
What's funny? So, I have a few messages I want to shout out. I'm going to encourage on that one that site, the group that you and I and Ross are part of, that X&R thing. Hang on. So I want to encourage every audio production specialist, I want to call them, who are even in slight doubt. Don't worry about it. And not only that, but look at it this way. Just do it. Listen to the podcast. Okay? Just take a few minutes. Don't be impatient. Listen to it. Because I've had so many people relying on James's transcript and it kind of makes me sad. I mean, sure, they might be busy. They might have to go to work. I get that. If you've got enough time to go talk about it on Facebook, take a listen first. Come on. You know what I'm saying? Because they're talking about something because they're too lazy to. I don't want to be harsh, but I mean that's what I'm getting out of it. Like they don't have enough time to listen to the podcast, which is only like 30 minutes. Oh, okay. No,
the people who are doing the most bashing are the ones who are going to be dissatisfied, no matter what the guidelines said.
They're not bashing. What I'm trying to say is they're quoting from James's transcript. The Excelsior guy, James Heady, he transcripted. He's one of the only people that transcripted the Trek BBC Forum.
Transcribed.
Transcribed the without being 100% accurate, and for the whole thing, that's the thing that's I'm noticing as being a very big problem here is they haven't gotten to his transcription hasn't gotten to certain parts like the audio announcement, which is about X amount of minutes in. He covers the gist of it, but when you look online, the majority of people are taken from his transcript because they don't want to sit there and be patient and listen to it, and they're not actually getting. They're talking about what about audio shows? Well, the transcript didn't get that far, so if you had actually listened to it, you would have gotten your answer. But they're relying on the written stuff.
Yeah, one of the things is I hope, and it was last week when everything hit. The first thing that Sebastian and I said on Skype together was, "Man, we're screwed." We're like, "Oh crap!" That's it. That's the end of it. Like, we're shutting down. That's it. We're out of it.
Which unfortunately, a lot of fan productions have prematurely done.
That's what we thought as well at first.
Yeah. And
despite assurances and some outside influence, that's what we all thought.
Yeah, and we were already started thinking of Battlestar Avenger, which is our next project. That
sounds like a Galactica thing.
It's basically, Battlestar Galactica is.
Well, that's one thing that I'm really taking away from this entire ordeal. I'm very happy that I'm not going to have to shut down any of my currently run shows. However,
the only thing is that I'm afraid, and sorry about to cut you off here, but the only thing that conversation I had with Sebastian brings to our niche in our group, and I saw that when we were talking on Facebook a couple of days ago, is because we were distraught. We were kind of like demotivated. We were like, "Oh crap, we're dead. That's it." There we go. We're not going to be able to show our fan and show our passion of this franchise ever again. And I'm just hoping that now that CBS came down and said, guys, you're doing audio, have fun. Go out and play. Just go ahead. Don't worry about it.
Which they basically did.
They did, yeah. And I'm just hoping that the people, the other producers, the other showrunners that decided to do similar that I did and Sebastian did together, that we said we're putting everything in hiatus, we'll be able to say, you know what? Okay, we're okay. That's it. We're coming back, right? And take this opportunity to quickly announce, hey guys, we're coming back. We're coming back. We're remotivated, re-energized, even more so now. And I just hope that thing that happened doesn't really hit so hard that the other people that are doing the shows say, well, you know what? Screw you. You know what? No, I'm not taking this.
That isn't what I've gathered from.
More than that,
I hope not. It's like I'm hoping that that everybody else says, takes a breather and goes, all right, awesome, this is cool.
And Ross, you're going to get to react to what you were just about to say, but I'm just going to say this: I had a chat going that night as I live right after that podcast aired.
Yeah.
Okay. I was linked it by somebody, and I was in a chat with all my Starfinder people. And the second I was sitting there giving a kind of a play-by-play as I was listening to it, and the second I said, in capital letters, audio is clear, there was like hooting and hollering from at least 18 people. And I'm telling you right now, trust me, people are like, thank you, thank Christ,
Oh, yeah.
So my big takeaway from this ordeal, while I'm happy that I'm able to continue to do my shows, that I'm not going to shut anything down or put anything into permanent hiatus, it's really kind of opened my eyes to original ideas. Yes. New stories that are independent of Star Trek or any other fandom, and something that we can do that's completely new.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, but I've always... Okay, so I'm not... Again, I'm not bragging. I'm being serious when I say this. I'm
humble brag.
Nope, I'm going to say the word curious, because when I made Starfinder, every single character and in the ship, even the name of the ship, you got all these fan productions, Enterprise, this, no offense to the people who do a great job doing what they do at all, and I'm not trying to be elitist in any way, but it just always boggled my mind. If we're a fan of a group of people who are geeks, like we are, which is why we call it Super Geeks, so if we're all supposed to be so smart that we can come up with the scientific, just anything, clever ideas, why is it that people keep recycling Kirk, Spock, McCoy, TOS? Nobody's even made a fan show about TNG with Picard. I find that odd. You got TOS constantly, just Kirk, Spock, actually, McCoy. Yeah. You know why they do it? Because they know they can go to that set in that one state where the guy has the set for the TOS bridge. That's why.
It's in Florida.
Yeah, Florida. I'm sorry. That's why. If they could...
Also, I think it's
good,
because so they don't have to set up any kind of backstory.
Well,
you immediately know who Kirk, Spock, and McCoy are, so you can jump right into the story.
But I've always hated that with writers and novels too. What would make somebody want to write a novel about Riker? There's a novel called... Oh, well, listen.
Money.
Besides money, Imzadi, for example, it was a TNG novel. I remember when I was reading it years ago, I'm thinking, why not make something original? Make a crew member who we never heard of who was on the Enterprise.
Peter David's New Voyages.
Yeah, but again, you got to realize people want to live in this world, and they do this vicariously through people's stories.
You're not actually telling a story that people is actually.
But no, you do. You're living vicariously.
What I mean is, if I tell a story, if I write a novel right now and they approve it, okay, that Riker has sex with some purple woman back just before he met Deanna, and then Deanna found out about it, blah, blah, blah. Guess what? It's not canon anyway, so what's the point?
It's because people are already invested in those characters.
And the books have their own canon.
But you can't exploit... I understand monetarily, but you can't even do anything with them. They're not your characters. You have so many limitations. You can't kill them, first of all. You can't make them suddenly turn out...
So you're basically... Wait a minute.
Janeway died.
Let me see if I get this right.
And
you're asking, why do the writers...
The writer of the book...
Right. Then they've already said it. It's money. They do it for the monetary reasons.
So
George, you're in the middle of reading Vanguard right now, correct?
No. I don't know where you heard that.
No?
I don't read.
I thought you started that.
No.
Vanguard is a completely original take on the TOS era. If you're sick of TOS, Peter David's New Voyages takes place during TNG, and it's a completely new crew.
I know. I'm just kidding. I read all of the New Frontier, the books. Which book was it? Where you had the dude Peter Davis wrote for the Excelsior? The Excalibur. Mackenzie Calhoun.
Yeah,
I'll tell you another reason.
New Frontier.
I'll tell you another reason why.
I read all those.
I'll tell you another people why people stay in genres and ideas that are already there, because people will come to that. People go into a bookstore or go online. They see Star Trek, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, whatever it is. It's like candy. They see it, they click on it. Oh, a new story. You write your own novel. You write your own story. You're going to have to get some kind of publicist out there to try to get that. Because you walk into a bookstore. I walk past thousands of authors. I look at a title or I look at the page. I'm on to the next one. And it may be a great book, but unless it grabs my attention right away, if I don't know it, I don't gravitate towards the title. I'm moving on.
It was 4 books in before Game of Thrones got popular.
Yeah, true. But here's my thing. My problem as an artist is, although I totally get where you guys are coming from, like, if I'm contracted and I'm going to get paid to write a pocketbook like Peter David does, and by the way, I love New Frontiers. It's been reiterated many times over. Still not canon, although STO recognizes certain aspects of it.
The books have their own canon.
I know that, but and Calhoun was put in the game, but only cherry picked. They never straight out said in STO that he's married to Elizabeth Shelby. You see what I'm saying? It's not the whole kit and caboodle. So what I'm trying to say is, if I'm going to write a book and take characters and extrapolate upon them, I would rather be in control of those characters' destinies. I don't want Robin, whatever Wesley's the one played by Ashley Judd. I don't want his ex-girlfriend as a character. I don't want to talk about Guinan. I mean, I'm not in control of their destiny. I can write a story where it turns out Guinan's actually a man with a penis. But the thing is that the fans aren't going to accept that as like canon later on down the road. It's like I'm writing a story just to get money for that book. I want to make characters that are I make them. I control their destiny, and I decide what happens to them later from the beginning.
Okay, you do that. Who's going to read it? Who are you, though? I mean, the thing is, again, you write the book. How are you going to get it out there? People don't know who you are. They know Star Trek. They may not know the author, but they know Star Trek. They know Star Wars.
That's my whole point. Star Trek New Frontier, for the most part, Mackenzie Calhoun was in a totally original captain. He was awesome. He did get some launch-off points from Picard, and his first officer and love interest was a character who's been in the best of both worlds, Elizabeth Shelby. But other than that, do people recognize that Elizabeth Shelby is the future wife of Calhoun? That's totally ambiguous to this day. A lot of people would say yes. A lot of people would say no. See what I'm saying? I don't like that.
Well, it's a good thing you started your own series with completely new characters.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly my point. And no offense to you, Matt, because I know that you're doing you're using the characters from the Mirror Universe Savick in the Red Jacket era. That's fine. I have no problem with it. It's not that I have a problem with it. It's your interpretation of the characters. The only thing I would say is this: if I were you, if you were to say, George, write an episode of Shadows of Tyranny, I would gladly do it because I think I could come up with some great ideas of what Savick would do in the Mirror Universe and so on. My only concern would be, what if something comes out later that contradicts what you wrote? See, this is the problem. You can write anything you want, but as soon as CBS decides they want to actually do an episode in that timeline, and you guys never anticipated that, it contradicts what you wrote.
Well, you really don't think Star Wars and Star Trek have those kind of contradictions right now for all the
books
that
have
have been written
before.
It has. Yes, there's thousands of them out there now, probably.
Well, there's already a contradiction with. Let's look at what Vic Mignogna did with the Mirror Universe episode. Okay, that's his interpretation of what happens after the original, the original
well, that's
series
right
episode.
After. You're going a little bit further.
I'm actually, I'm probably after that episode of Vic's, but
well, if you have Savick, it has to be a little bit further. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a bit further, but mind you, Savick, although she is a lieutenant, in there, she's very young. She's still a very young officer. So it is kind of like Red Jacket, but it's not yet Red Jacket.
Sort of between TMP and Rathgon.
Kind of, yeah. You could say that. So
I love how he said lieutenant.
Yeah, I know, that's the English way. Yeah.
Well, it's Canadian as well.
Yeah, it's Canadian rank, right?
Yeah, and guilty.
Where's the F? There is no F in that anywhere.
Okay, but that's what the British and the Canadians do. They take our lieutenants and they turn them into lieutenants.
No. And also, unfortunately, it's also not a bad habit, but I'm used to it because although as you guys saw, the captain in front of my name is not just a handle. I'm actually an Air Force captain within the Canadian Air Force.
Thank you for your service.
Wow. just
thank you for your service.
So
no, I mean, I was in the Army, so I'm gonna say, and Ross just got out of the Navy, so thank you for service.
Yep.
Oh, you guys.
I was in the U.S. Air Force, so yeah.
Oh, were you?
We don't have lieutenants.
Wait,
lieutenants. We have lieutenants.
Although you are from England, Will.
Well, no, I was raised there. I'm not a British.
I know.
Yeah, but I do agree. Where's the F? I have no clue. I've always questioned it myself. I was kind of like, Deborah Slack, where's the F? Why? But I'm French, so I
okay, but if you're gonna go by Star Frank Lanks, that's different.
Well, in England they do write LEF.
I know they do.
They have the F as an italics, but that's what they do in England.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they call it lieutenant, and they put the F in there.
They do.
Yeah, we don't. In Canada, it's written down lieutenant, but it's said lieutenant.
Do you guys do those exaggerated salutes like on Red Dwarf?
No, they don't. Golly.
No, we don't. No.
Are you allowed to grow your hair so long that you have, sideburns?
No. No.
Because in America, if you had a sideburn, you wouldn't be in the military.
Oh no, you get sideburns, you get them shaved off.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now that I'm out, I don't shave.
Well, that's why I always laugh at TV shows where they have like the Brigadier on Doctor Who, and he's got his hair so long, he might as well be a hippie. And well, actually, he wasn't the worst example. Sergeant Benton, maybe. But anyways, you know what I'm saying.
He's also a brigadier. Who's gonna call him out?
That's true. That's the equivalent of like a lieutenant colonel or whatever.
Well, if you had a chief warrant officer.
No, brigadier general. I mean, they've got 4 ranks of general. So
that's true. He was general.
Lieutenant general is the one right below full general.
That's true. And when the show ended, before his last worded rank on Doctor Who was Sir Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart. He was on the Sarah Jane Adventures before he died.
Well, if he was a Sir, then he'd been knighted because he was in England.
He had been knighted.
Exactly. He'd been knighted him.
He was a general though in Battlefield, the last classic Who episode. Second to last. Anyways, I'm sorry to throw my Whovian geekdom over this conversation. I didn't mean to do that.
Anyway, I think I have to head on out. Be going.
Yeah. Yep.
Seems like a good time to start wrapping things up.
Yeah, we should wrap things up. Thank you, John, for joining us. This has been a very interesting conversation. And Matt, for future episodes, I might have to call you back for anything really, especially when we get Michael Himman back. By the way, Michael Himman meant to be here tonight. He really wanted to. He's been a great friend of the show since we started interviewing him. But he had a very bad sinus infection. He's over in Grenada right now. And he wishes us well. And if we have a future discussion, even reviewing Star Trek Beyond or talking about anything that drops about Star Trek, maybe we can have you guys in the same room together.
Oh, definitely. I'd be glad to do it.
Awesome. All right, you guys.
All right.
Anytime you need a Frenchman on Starfighter, let me know.
Oh, definitely. Believe me, my mind is the wheels in my head are already turning.
In opposite directions.
In opposite directions.
That's probably right.
All right, you guys, take it easy.
Thank you for joining us, John.
Talk to you later.
And everybody, talk to you
See you,
guys.
John.
Okay.
See you guys.
Bye.
All right, that was a good episode. Thank you, Matt, for joining us. Yeah, that was fun.
That was
Yes,
awesome.
indeed. Very